special public hearing of the Appomattox County Board of Supervisors. I'll lead an invocation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. Heavenly Father, we just ask that you guide us through this process tonight, that we do the right thing for the citizens of our county, and that you lead us along this way. We thank you for the safety of our Sheriff's Department, EMS, and the fire, and we're thankful that the people have slowed down on in the construction zone, and that is now safe for our workers. We just be with us tonight, be with those that are here, and give us all safety in going home tonight, for we ask in Christ's name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You can be seated. All righty, gentlemen, I got one thing to add to the agenda, and that is the resolution declaring the end of the local emergency and allowing our citizens to again start burning their brush piles on May 1st. So if somebody would like to make the motion to add that to the agenda. Okay, Mr. Hips has moved to add the burn ban resolution to the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, next up, I'll take a motion setting the amended agenda. Is there a motion to accept the amended agenda?
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Hips, seconded by Reverend Jones. Oh, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, then we'll add the resolution, I guess after the public hearing, make it item number 2. All righty, first up, pursuant to Virginia State Code 58.1-3321, a duly advertised public hearing has been scheduled for the proposed real property tax increase to receive public comments. The county proposed to adopt a tax rate of 0.45 cents per 100 of assessed value. Staff recommends that after receiving comments on a proposed real property tax increase, consider the adoption of the 0.045 cents per 100 of assessed value. And I'm totally disappointed. I must have had about 35 comments on Facebook under this posting saying that, against this increase, and I invited them all almost individually to come and give me the reasons that they wanted to, and only 3 people signed up to spoke of 30. Let's see, that's what, 1%? So anyway, first up, Matthew A. Deaver, if you please come to the podium and give your name, address, and your comments.
Don't know if this thing's on. Okay, it sounds like it is. My name's Matthew Allen Deaver. I live at 5084 Old Courthouse. First time I've ever been to a Board of Supervisors meeting. So forgive me if I'm not correct with the decorum. I did notice that it did say that the effective tax rate was going to go up by 7% this year. Is that correct?
I guess that depends on how you figure it.
Based on the figures provided in the pamphlet, it showed that the assessed value was 65 cents per $100 last year. With the assessed values going up, then it is now 41 cents to be equal.
Okay, so you're going from the 41 cents to the 45.
To the 45, which is
All right.
an additional 3 and some change, which creates a change of 7% over our last year's effective tax rate. On the pamphlet, it says you want to collect $700,000 extra dollars this year over last year to pay for school construction projects. I just wanted to know more detail about what those construction projects are going to be. You and I spoke on Facebook today, actually, about the the change, and I definitely did not mean to say that you exceeded 3% that last year, just that you needed an additional 3% this year. I'm just wondering why you need the additional 4% over that.
Mr. Chairman,
Ms. Simpson?
one, I want to say thank you for coming. I appreciate anybody who takes the time to show up and voice their concerns. And in terms of where we're at with the budget and the decision to increase beyond just straight equalization, we had originally intended to set $700,000 aside for school projects, primarily being the renovation of our middle school, which is a project that will be $10 to $15 million. The original structure was built in, I think, 1909 and has been renovated several times over the last century. Unfortunately, we did discover, and the county administrator can speak to this further, but based on recent changes from the General Assembly and their final budget, that $700,000 that we had originally projected is no longer a surplus. This 45-cent tax rate will effectively level fund our budget and will prevent us from having to use general fund reserves to fund operations. So it's something that we discovered, I mean, late yesterday, I would say. So we haven't had the time to correct the advertisement, but there is no excess in this budget.
Okay. My only other question is, how do you want the county residents to eat the 7% increase over last year's tax rate? 7% is a lot in a single year.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want to break out of decorum here, but
Go ahead, Mr. Simpson.
traditionally, it's just comments, but you are asking very prudent questions, so I feel you deserve a response. We haven't in Appomattox County, we do an assessment every 5 years. So there's been no effective increase since 2020. And in that time period, something like, just a random example, the cost of a fire truck has probably doubled since 2020. So it's just the nature of how Virginia sets up reassessments, is that most counties do them every 5 years. And that 7% it feels like it's happening all at once, but it's really just representative of the last half decade. And we do that instead of doing a increase every single year.
All right, I appreciate your time. Thank you.
And to tag on to what Mr. Simpson said, the other fly in the ointment is the Commonwealth of Virginia has not yet passed a budget. And depending on whether they pass the governor's budget, the House of Delegates budget, or the Senate's budget, this budget's going to change depending on which budget. So we may have to do some budget changes because of what the Commonwealth does. And we have no control over that.
I can understand that. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. All right, next up, Mr. David Witt. Okay, thank you. All right, Rodney English. And please state your name and address when you get up there.
Rodney English, 2416 Johns Place, Appomattox. I'm in the Piney Mountain District with Mr. Alfred Jones. Mr. Jones, you've done us a really good job as a Board of Supervisors. And I hope you do us a good job tonight and vote no for any tax increase to our county taxes. None. Zero, none. Make do with what you have to do with. That's y'all's job. And I know it can be a hard one, but hey, this man, I was coming up in there, and he said, I'm going to have to sell my place. And the reassessment was an overwhelming reassessment in the value that our properties have increased. That's enough. Stop it right there. Don't go any higher on the taxes. Thank you, board. Thank you, Mr. Jones. Don't let me down tonight. I want to vote for you again the next time. Thank you. All right, bye.
Thank you, Mr. English. Anyone who didn't sign up like to have 3 minutes? All righty.
I'm Helen Adams, 273 Turkey Road. And basically, I really don't fully understand all of this, to be truthful. But why do we have to go up on our taxes when our house and property has doubled in the reassessment? That alone will be more taxes without an increase, in my opinion.
Well, Ms. Adams, you know you still have 4 or 5 more dates in May to talk to the assessor and get him to change his mind.
Mis-
I understand.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Wilskill?
I'd like to explain, Ms. Adams, is it? Ms. Adams, what you said about the reassessment and the values going up. What we're going through now, the old tax rate was 65 cents on a dollar. So if we would have left it there, it would have been a tax increase. What we're going through right now is lowering how many cents on 100 to 45 to lower it. So it's not a tax, it would lower it to 41.6 would be even tax. Going up to 45 or 43 is the tax increase. But just because you got reassessed does not mean your taxes went up. I'm sorry? Okay.
Just for some comparisons, Cumberland County is considering 60 cents, Amherst County 58 cents, Nelson County 58 cents, Nottaway County is looking somewhere between 55 and 59 cents, Buckingham County 48, Amelia County 46, Appomattox County we're looking at 45, Campbell County 45, Bedford 41, Charlotte County 41, Prince Edward 39 cents, and Lutenberg 37. So we're looking at the lower end right now. That's just for reference. Ms. Adams, do you have some information you want to give us before we?
No, basically, I was going to reiterate what Mr. Wolskill said. Your current assessment, we take that and multiply it by 101%. And by law, this board has to equalize that 1% over what you were charged last year. So when we say tax increase, we're talking about 0.33 cents over the equalized rate that was 101%.
Okay. Any questions for Ms. Adams from the board? Mr. Wolfskill, you had something you would want to say?
Yeah, I'd like to share for the public and for the record. In 2016, the population of Appomattox County was 1,505,000, and the county budget was 37 million. Today, in 26, the population of Appomattox County is roughly 18,000, and the budget that we're looking at today is 58 million. So the county grew in number by 2,500 people in the last 10 years, or 14%. But the budget to conduct the county business grew by 21 million, or 37%. There are many things beyond our ability to control. We are faced with state and federal mandates to which we have no power to refuse. For instance, our school budget in 2016 was $22 million. In 2016, there were 2,200 students enrolled in Appomattox Public Schools, 2,298. This year, 2026, there are 2,372 students, an increase of 74 students. And this year's school budget is $38.3 million, an increase of $15.6 million in 10 years, or an increase of 41%. And remember, this does not include the cost of the debt service for the school construction, which next year will be about $2 million. Even though the largest portion of the county budget is the public school funding, the county has very little ability to affect school budget. Virtually everything is line itemized with state and federal monies, requiring local matching funds. If the county fails to match those funds, the program will not be funded by the state. This sounds as if I'm attacking our schools. I am not. I'm explaining budgetary constraints. So if we look at the total budget for this fiscal year we're about to adopt at $58 million and change, after we fund the school, that leaves $19.7 million for everything else the county must fund. But remember, from that, we must deduct the $2 million debt service for school construction. So in actuality, we're left with $17.7 million for all county other necessities, everything. Where would the public have us cut? Our sheriff department, our fire department, our rescue squad, our DSS, our library, our animal control, or 911 services? In addition, there are 21 other departments our budget must fund to operate our county, such as, but not limited to, general court and all court-related functions, landfill and convenience centers, and hauling, electoral board, county administrators, the ones who keep everything rolling, extension services, just to mention a few. Then there are the outside agencies, about 20 of them. To each of us, they may not seem important until we might need them. And they are important to those who really do rely on them. These are programs or institutions our county contributes to for the overall benefit of all of our citizens when they need them. Which of these should we cut? Looking at our budget, I can assure you we all struggled to squeeze every ounce out of every dollar that we have control over. I understand taxes are seen as theft, and perhaps they are. However, we all live in the county. We may not benefit from everything your tax dollars fund, but we all have the benefits to help. We all benefit from these fundings. It goes against my very nature to raise taxes, and I'll have to pay them too. I think our current and previous Board of Supervisors have done extraordinary work in not raising taxes for the last 10 years, but it appears we are at a difficult place today, and it's a rough awakening. Again, in those 10 years, the cost of operating our county has gone from $37 million to $58 million. With the vast majority of it, we have no control over. Is it prudent to kick the can down the road or face the truth now and begin to take steps to prepare? This is our budget that we're looking at this year. This is how much stuff. That's 3 inches thick of double-sided pages. I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Mr. Wilskill. All right, I guess it's time to either kick the can down the road or take a motion to either adopt the recommended tax or adopt the tax rate of 0.45 cents per hundred. Oh, that's right. Okay, at this time, since everybody has spoken, we'll close the public hearing and go into regular board meeting. And at this time, we'll consider whether or not to adopt the 0.45 cents per $100 of assessed value. Mr. Reverend Jones.
Yes. Ms. Adams, that percentage of increase is how much? Can you give me that increase? It was 0. The increase.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Simpson?
I'll make the motion to set the tax rate for I don't know if this is the exact wording, but for the upcoming fiscal year, would that be correct? At 45 cents per hundred.
Okay, Mr. Simpson's moved that we adopt the 0.45 cents per $100 of assessed value for the FY '27 tax year. Is there a second? Mr. Wolfskill's made a second. Is there a discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Reverend Jones?
so if we were to not increase this year, how would that impact our county now and next year? Because what I'm thinking about is, are we kicking the can down the road? We have some major expenses that's going to come up over the next year, 2 years. What kind of position are we putting ourselves in terms of our reserve if we kick the can down the road, did nothing?
There are a couple things to keep in mind with this year's budget. I think Mr. Wolfskill had alluded to the fact that the state still has not passed their budget, which leaves a little liability on our end, because remember, they have 3 budgets before them. They have the proposed governor's budget, they have the House budget, and they've got the Senate budget. And we know that all 3 versions have different amounts in each budget. If they were to adopt the hybrid of those budgets, or the Senate over the governor's proposed budget, it could impact us. First of all, is we would be required to pay more local funding. So we would have to come up with more money just for this year's budget. There are several ways that you can fund your budget. And, that would be tax increase, or you can cut services, or you can increase fees, permits, anything that we collect local revenues for, or you can dip into your reserve fund. So basically, they are the ways that you would fund your budget. The impact is, and I think this is critical to remember, in 2 years, the composite index is going to be increased, and that is going to, that it's going to make the locality pay more local funding for school funding because of the increase in land values that's used in that formula. So those are your options. So yeah, you will see an impact. So, either you perform one of these services. They're the ways that you can fund it.
So what is the shortfall in the budget in terms of we don't raise taxes or fees? What is this?
Okay. It would be, it's approximately that $700,000 that we were talking about, that we were hoping to put into the school construction fund. I've given you a comparison budget that I sent via email this afternoon, and you'll be able to tell where we had to revert some of those funds over into school operational budget. And then we actually went and cut a couple of our departments where we had additional monies, like for, maintenance was one of them that we went in and we cut the maintenance budget just so we could fund and balance this budget at 45 cents.
And my concern is, of course, nobody wants to see taxes be raised, and I don't want to see taxes raised either, but I see a locomotive coming down the tracks, and we're going to have to face some high-cost items in the very near future. And if we continue to fund our budget through our reserve, I don't think we are serving the citizens well.
Mr. Chairman.
Simpson?
Ms. Adams, the other piece that we have coming, I think would be the FY '28 budget, is a start of debt service that isn't currently in this budget. What is the amount of that projected debt service
Actually, it would be
next calendar year?
not FY '27, but the following year, yeah.
Okay.
It would go into the FY '28. And currently, you're paying interest on the high school renovation, and that's at $199,000. You had 5 years of interest that was paid on the front end of the loan, and then you'll be kicking into the principal, and the first loan payment of that would be, I believe it's $779,000.
So that, if we were to use the cents per hundred in terms of our primary revenue, that would effectively be another 2 to 3 cents that we're going to have to put into next year's budget regardless.
It would be about 3.5 cents.
Okay, so here's where I'm at with this, is that 45 cents is the bare minimum for us to not have to dip into operating reserves, of which we have, about $30 million in total reserves.
Well, total, and
Right.
that's designated and undesignated.
And we're required by law to keep 6 months operating in a reserve fund, right?
That's correct.
So that's $30 million, essentially. So if we start chipping away at our reserve fund, we get into a compliance issue over, if our reserve fund dips below 6 months of operating. So we can't really touch our reserves, and we know that we have a situation where in the next fiscal year, we're going to have to be at, probably 48, 49, 50 cents on 100. So if we're to go straight equalization at 43, then we're further in the hole than we otherwise would be at least level funding this year. And we've spent a lot of time with the budget, and I don't think we want to go into, there have been periods where the board has had austerity conditions, and I was in middle school when they cut middle school sports 15 years ago, or what have you. And, I don't think we're in the condition to have to start doing what previous boards had to do. And to echo Mr. Wolfskill, I'm amazed at us not having an effective tax rate for the last decade. And us really, we have significantly reduced the debt load. And we're just in a situation where since 2020, things have doubled or in some cases tripled that we have to buy that are essential to running a county government. And that's why I made the motion for the 45-cent tax rate, and I would hope that we all vote to consider that.
Mr. Westgill.
None of us want to raise taxes, and most of you aren't going to notice this little bit. None of us want to do this. We're all very unhappy with what is in this book and what is coming from the state that we have no control over. To not take this action this month, this year, would be irresponsible. Kicking the can down the road certainly makes a supervisor feel good. I didn't raise taxes, but the damage that it sets up in the future is not something we should be proud of. We are looking out for the county. This is very uncomfortable, and it's not something we look forward to. Thank you.
Any other discussion? And I know one of my main concerns is the uncertainty of the Commonwealth's budget and what it will do to us when they finally make up their minds up there in Richmond. So I guess we're ready to call the question. Mr. Simpson.
Aye.
Reverend Jones.
Aye.
Mr. Wolfskill. Mr. Hips. And unfortunately, I'm going to break my promise to my people and say aye also. I don't see any other way around it. So we are adopting a tax rate of 45 cents per 100. All right. Next up is the resolution declaring the end of a local emergency. Whereas the Appomattox County Board of Supervisors does hereby find That on Friday, April 17th at 7:49 PM, the Director of Emergency Management, in accordance with Appomattox County Code 15.1-10, declared local emergency due to severe drought conditions, extremely low humidity and high winds events, creating an elevated risk of wildfires with little or no forecasted rainfall. And whereas on Monday, April 20th, 2026, the Appomattox County Board of Supervisors ratified the declaration of local emergency, the Director of Emergency Management and the local governing body shall take appropriate action to end its emergency phase in the above-named event and has begun to recovery phase as defined in Appomattox County Emergency Operations Plan. Now therefore be resolved by the Appomattox County Board of Supervisors agrees that improved drought conditions from the recent rainfall, diminishes the risk of wildfire concerns. Declaration of local emergency declared Friday, April 2026, ends on Thursday, April 30th, 2026. Is there a motion to adopt the resolution? Mr. Wolfskills made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Reverend Jones will second it. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, the resolution to end the burn ban has passed. All right, upcoming meetings. May 11th is a special called meeting of the FY 2027 Consolidated Budget Public Hearing, right here in this room again. And the budget will be posted out there on the website, and I'll post it out there on my page. And if you can find areas we can cut, come and talk to us about it. After that, the next meeting is May 18th, 2026, which is a regularly scheduled board meeting here at 6 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn? Mr. Wolfskills made the motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You're adjourned. Thank you for all of those that came, especially those that participated, and I wish we had better news.
What day in July?
No.